We're off.
Are we not clapperboarding anymore?
No, I can't be asked to bend down there.
Standards. Doesn't take long for the standards to slip, does it?
You give me a side eye every time I do it.
Yeah. A couple of sausage rolls and you're anyone's, aren't you? Couple of sausage rolls, can't be bothered to do anything. Just a maverick.
One of those days.
A maverick. So what are we looking at today, Sean?
Today, Dan, we are looking at something suggested to us in the comments.
Oh, great. That means we get less views.
Zero views. Yeah, minus views. This is the Black Salt Audio BSA drum bus.
Well, I've got to say, I like the name Black Salt.
Ah, interesting.
It's good.
Good.
And it looks like an SSL bus compressor.
Does a bit.
So, let's find out. Is the bullshit SSL bus compressor
You charged yourself up in nonsense, didn't you? You had no idea where you were going. I'm just watching the car crash going.
I did.
How's he going to turn this one around?
It was you.
I'm just waiting.
Yeah. Well, I'm
just waiting for that. Is it?
It
never came.
The is it did come.
Eventually. We went all around the house.
You were upset about the bullshit thing. That's why you...
What's upset about anything? Anyway, moving on. Yes. So you...
Black Salt, not bullshit.
Yes, the Black Salt Audio. So yeah, you commented it looks a bit like an SSL compressor. It does. A bit like one. Anyway, let's get into it. So this is specifically a drum bus compressor, apparently. Let's start with the knobs. Always a good place to start. We've got the compression knob. You just dial it up more clockwise, more compression or less compression. We then have heat, which is basically adding some saturation. We then have the attack. We then have the tone. And then we have the salt. Now, you'll see in the demo that the salt and the heat kind of doing similar jobs. I don't think they are actually doing the same job.
Well, heat is a very smooth sort of word, whereas salt would make you think it's going to be more grainy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Bitty, bit crushery.
We have a high-pass filter down there. I'm assuming that is sidechain high-pass rather than an actual high-pass on the whole thing. The output is on a little slider going across there next to the output meters, and then we have a mix control, and then obviously you can drag the corner to resize it. We then have at the top here, we can have standard or slam mode. In standard mode, it sounds very much like a standard bus compressor. Put it into slam mode, everything goes a bit mental. We're talking full-on grit and grr, you know. Lots of saturation. Slam mode is when the glass breaks.
It does.
On the meter.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. That's what it does.
Well, please remember to like that. Gain adjust, gain matching. That's handy on these sorts of things.
Sort of didn't notice. It's. Do you know what? The demo will tell you everything you need to know. It's very cool in that, yes, you can get some crunchy, really nice drum sounds. I can see why they've called it a drum bus compressor. However, it's a bit weird because it could be any kind of compressor. It's just a compressor that has some saturation going on. Little bit baffled by the lack of release control. It's kind of important for a drum bus to be able to set the release down.
Yeah, because it depends on because obviously you've got transients of toms and transients of snares.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It sounds all right, so I presume it's happening automatically somewhere under the skin. But it's a bit weird not to give you the control for that. I did find, as you'll see when I'm messing with the demo, you have to mess with the heat and the salt in order to get it to do its thing. I can't tell you anymore. You need to go and listen to it.
The thought process behind designing and releasing a plugin like this.
Yeah.
What do you think that process might be?
There's a load of plugins already out there. There's a load of saturators already out there. Let's put the two together in a slightly quirky way, give it a specific job title, drum bus compressor, and hope that people buy into it. Hope that people give it some good reviews.
Okay.
I mean, there's not many things you can make when you're starting out as a plugin manufacturer. EQ, yeah, not massively exciting unless you make a really, really good one with lots of character. So compressor's probably the first place to go.
Yeah.
Everyone loves saturation at the moment.
Yeah.
Mix the two together, find some kind of unique angle.
I asked ChatGPT 4.5
Yep.
how long before you can write a descriptive cue for a plugin and it programs itself.
Yeah, that's got to be just around the corner.
Yeah, about 3 years.
Yeah, it's coming, obviously.
Yeah. And the first one's going to look something like that.
Yeah, probably. Talking of which, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that looks like your bog standard
SSL bus compressor.
SSL bus compressor, but it also looks very much like an early plugin from a developer. But I actually quite like it. It's very clear. It's not completely, looking like a piece of hardware. They haven't gone with the rack holes and the screws and all that stuff. It's quite clean. I don't mind the interface at all.
No, the interface is good but they've not gone over the top with shading of the HOTS.
Yeah, it's kept relatively.
They've done something cool with the cracking of the screen.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, demo?
Yes, 14 days.
Okay. From?
Black Salt Audio. Just Google Black Salt Audio.
It's a great
good
brand.
name.
Yeah.
It is a good name.
You see, that's what they've got right. That's what we're snatching at here. They've got the branding right.
Yeah. I think they have. Yeah, I mean,
so once you've tried it for 14 days.
Yep.
It is how much?
$79. What do you reckon?
I'm just a bit, at the moment, a bit overwhelmed with all of it.
Apathetic.
I'm not pathetic. I just think, I've used the term USP already today.
Yep.
But if you're Black Salt Audio,
Yes.
great name, great brand, probably a great sounding plugin.
Yeah.
How are you lifting yourself above the melee of other bus compressors and
It's a very good
saturators?
question. Yeah, it's a very good question. It does sound very cool. If I didn't have a bunch of plugins that are really good at doing a really good parallel drum bus sound, this could easily have that job.
I wonder, because having done some research, having got into coding and stuff, you can go and pinch. You're familiar with GitHub.
Yeah.
You can go and pinch bits of code from people that have modeled stuff. You can get GPT or any other, large language model to generate code for things like this. And you wonder where the plugin manufacturers are now at the stage where, and I apologise, Black Salt, if this isn't where you are, but they are just rushing stuff through. They're just, they're using AI to generate the code for their plugins.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting aside from that. Very, very related. I was approached by a plugin company about a year ago and asked if I had any ideas for plugins. And I did have a bunch of ideas for plugins. But in reality, they were just combinations of existing ideas. It's very hard to come up with something completely new. I think the only opportunities are really unique interfaces that in some way make using it easier or more obvious about what you've got to do.
Yeah.
Or taking something that, looked a certain way and just making it more interesting or more exciting to use. But the idea that anything I was going to come up with was going to be better than the stuff I really like and use all the time, unlikely.
That's what stopped me at every juncture.
Yeah. We went a certain way down that road, and it's kind of like it's not really worth it until you've got something absolutely fantastic. That said, maybe there's loads of plugin companies releasing all right plugins, making lots of money. Maybe.
Well, there must be,
maybe
because
we're in
there's
the
lots of
wrong game.
people selling. There's lots of people making shit music, so they've got to be using plugins for something. Well, there is. I mean, what do they say about Spotify? There are, I forget how many millions of tracks uploaded every day. And those people have got, and that's before you get to the likes of SoundCloud and Bandcamp and all these other places where amateurs are uploading them. And maybe designing something cheaply and selling it for less than £100 is a good business model.
Where it's at.
Anyway, the Black Salt SSL drum compressor.
I don't think they're saying it's SSL. It's just their drum bus compressor. Yeah. No, I would say it's not shit in that it sounds great. Check out the demo. I really liked it. I think the price is a little bit hopeful. I think there's some really good stuff out there for similar or less. But it sounds great. Go and check out the demo.
So, enjoy the demo. But before you do, please like the video.
That'd be cool if you could do that, and maybe subscribe to the channel or become a channel member.
Check out our Instagram, Studio Life 101.
And there's some courses. There's also a new course, my mixing course number 2, which is focusing on pop and electronic production, and it's sort of 4.5 hours long. Go and have a look at that. And we will see you next time.
Sayonara, suckers.
Adios.